In our last session, we considered Psalm 64, in which David prays for Yahweh's intervention due to those who were plotting against him. We saw that David asked Yahweh to help him, not to fear. Secondly, that Yahweh would protect him from the secret plots of the wicked. And then finally, that Yahweh would protect him from the arrows of the bitter words of those who opposed him. Today, we want to transition to another Old Testament saint who spent much time in prayer and fellowship with Yahweh. In fact, it was Daniel's time with Yahweh in prayer that would land him in the lion's den. We read of the account in Daniel chapter 6. Beginning at verse 1, we read, "It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 satraps, to be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 governors, of whom Daniel was one, that the satraps might give account to them, so that the king would suffer no loss. Then this Daniel distinguished himself above the governors and satraps, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king gave thought to setting him over the whole realm. So the governors and satraps sought to find some charge against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find no charge or fault, because he was faithful, nor was there any error or fault found in him. Then these men said, 'We shall not find any charge against this Daniel, unless we find it against him concerning the law of his God.'" How exciting would that be, if the same could be said for you or I? That there was no fault that could be found in him, except for that concerning the law of his God. That we were so faithful in our relationship and in our walk with Jesus Christ, that the only fault or charge that could be brought against us was because of our faithfulness to Jesus Christ. Well, the passage continues then in verse 6, stating, "So these governors and satraps thronged before the king, and said thus to him, 'King Darius, live forever. All the governors of the kingdom, the administrators and satraps, the counselors and advisors, have consulted together to establish a royal statute and make a firm decree that whoever petitions any god or man for 30 days, except you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, so that it cannot be changed, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which does not alter.' Therefore, King Darius signed the written decree." The only way that these satraps and governors figured that they could get Daniel was by making it illegal to pray. Why? Because they knew Daniel would keep praying. Again, how exciting is that? They knew that even when it became illegal to pray, Daniel would continue to pray. They knew that Daniel's devotion to Yahweh was greater than life itself. Immediately, they set a watch on Daniel and caught him praying and brought the accusation to Darius. We continue in verses 13 and 14 of chapter 6. "So they answered and they said before the king, 'That Daniel, who is one of the captives from Judah, does not show due regard for you, O king, or for the decree that you have signed, but makes petition 3 times a day.' And the king, when he heard these words, was greatly displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him." Note that Daniel wasn't perplexed. He continued to pray. We'll look at that some more tomorrow. But Darius was. Darius was perplexed. When it was brought to Darius's attention that Daniel was guilty of continuing to pray, Darius realized he had been set up. He knew He knew of Daniel's faithfulness. He was mad at himself. The minute the satraps and the governors came to him and said that this Daniel continues to make petitions, he knew. He knew of the faithfulness of Daniel. If you were on trial, would you be convicted? Would there be enough evidence against you to convict you of being a faithful man of prayer, a faithful woman of prayer? Would we be convicted of being true disciples of Jesus Christ? Take some time to pray today. If it's a matter of growing in faithfulness, asking the Father to help you to be faithful. If it's a matter of being willing to take a stand, to be bold in the face of opposition, that you would be emboldened by the Lord to do so. But that we who are called by his name would become faithful. That we who are called by his name would humble ourselves. That we would pray and seek his face. That we would turn from our wicked ways, such that he would hear from heaven. And maybe that he would heal our land. Take time to pray and have a blessed day.